Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to another brand new Fallout 76 news video. And in today's video, we have a recap of last week's Reddit Ask Me Anything carried out by Jeff Gardner and Ferret Bodin, two of the lead designers on Fallout 76. And we have a little bit more information about the public test servers reopening coming up as well ahead of next month's patch. So let's jump in and take a look, shall we? So, welcome back to Inside the Vault. This week we've gathered together some of the highlights from our recent Wastelanders Ask Me Anything on Reddit, so you can check out some of the questions and answers in case you missed it last week. We're also sharing some hot off the presses stats from the Wastelanders update to give you a behind the scenes sneak peek at what players have been up to since launch. Very cool. So, the Ask Me Anything highlights. If you want the full ins and outs of it, I did a video on that last week, should be somewhere up about here now. You can take a look at that. There's a lot more detail there, but they've picked out some of their core questions here that they like the most, or the big ones, and there are some good ones here, so we went over these, as I say, last week, but more details here. So, last week we had an absolute blast getting to chat with many of you during our first ever Fallout 76 Ask Me Anything, and we hope you enjoyed it too. Jeff Gardner and Ferret Bodin from the dev team answered many of your questions while the Ask Me Anything was live, and shared insights on current and upcoming content from their perspective as developers. Below we've rounded up some of our favourite questions the community asked in case you weren't able to catch it. So, those questions, going over them a little quickly because, as I say, we did it in more detail last time. The Zarian Council asked, when will we see a roadmap? Working on a roadmap right now was the answer, and hope to have one out very soon. It will include content for the entire year, so hopefully in the next few weeks we should be getting a little look at what's come out for the rest of 2020, which is very cool. Philia asked, will we see story DLC in future around the Enclave and the Brotherhood of Steel? To which the answer was, let's just say the Brotherhood of Steel is now watching the wasteland of West Virginia very closely. So, very cool. Looks like we should be seeing some of that before too long. Fingers crossed before the end of the year. An expansion including more Brotherhood stuff will be very welcome. Do enjoy the Brotherhood of Steel. Especially as it's early era as well, so it'll be the Brotherhood of Steel closer to what they were meant to be, which is cool. So, Lord Desire asked, would it be possible to have more than one NPC at your camp at a time? Short answer is, probably not. Well, we'd love to do this, and there are numerous issues that would need to be addressed. Doubling the amount of NPCs in the world comes at a heavy cost. That said, we're patching in a way for folks to dress their companions up using the costumes they found in our patch in May. So, only one companion for the foreseeable future due to the weight on the servers, but you'll be able to put them in your outfit of choice before too long, which is cool. So, Lawrence and Hen asked, any insight on what the legendary perk system is going to entail, and also when it might be released? Big update for the summer, this one. We are adding legendary perks this summer into the game, and these perks are highly powerful and coveted, and players will unlock new slots to fit them in starting at level 50. You can also scrap all of your extra cards and rank these perks up, so if you've got spares that you're not using, you'll be able to get rid of them and use them for something useful, which is cool. And when you roll alt characters, these slots will be unlocked on them as well. So if you start new characters after you've got one to level 50, they will also have the legendary perks available too, which is very cool. So, Big Red the Bard asked, what's the plan with the camp system? You guys keep adding cool stuff to the item store, but the budget is still pretty limited, especially if you try to use display cases. So, two answers on this one. We're both looking into increasing the budget and other quality of life tuning as well. Very vague, and they've said this before, so cool to have it reconfirmed. Hopefully more good stuff coming to the camp system soon. So the second answer was, you want it, and oh my god, the dev team wants it too. One of the greatest joys is sharing the wild and wacky stuff the community does with the camps, but just flat out increasing the budget would have really significant performance issues. So, it's a balancing act, in short. We plan to do some very fun things with camps in 2020. So, a little more detail there on the second answer, but in general, they want to increase the budget, but they've got to do it carefully so it doesn't bring the servers crashing down around our ears. But there is also more cool stuff coming this year, which is great. So, yikes. I am not even going to try. I haven't got a hope in hell of pronouncing that. So, this person here said, will an area text chat system be implemented for PC, or has that been scrapped? This is a question that's been floating around since before launch, in fact. It is still requested often, apparently. We looked at implementing it in early development. Currently this year there have been a number of quality of life improvements that we're tackling. As PC player, I too would like to get text chat implemented in the future. I think this one was a Jeff Gardner answer. who's the project lead. So there's no timescale, but they haven't said it's not happening yet. It's just as and when other priorities in short at the moment. So don't give up hope if you are holding out for that one, but not anytime soon from the look of it. So, Host of the Most asked, are you planning to bring balance changes to energy weapons? Which the answer was, we are looking to rebalance the entire game or normalize later this year. This will eliminate a lot of the rough edges on how our zoning system works, create a more measured and balanced experience for players of all levels. We're looking at everything, not just combat. So, everything will be rebalanced, hopefully, sometime later in this year. I'm going to go with the autumn probably before that's ready. But, very, very cool to see that coming. They're going with, or they have said in the past anyway, that they will be going with a one wasteland approach. So the idea is, wherever you go in the wasteland and whatever your level might be, you should be able to cope. You'll meet level appropriate challenges. And they're also going to make it so that if you're in a group and there is a huge dichotomy in your levels, you've got a 200 and a level 10 in the same group, for example, it should still balance based on that fact as well. I imagine it'll have to be a relatively small, localized thing at a time that sort of rolls on as you move through the map. Because otherwise it will affect everybody else's game as well, but it'll be interesting to see how they do that. Hopefully they'll be able to pull it off. If they've got a shred of sense, which I'm sure they have, they'll be speaking to ZeniMax Online about this, because they've implemented something very similar in Elder Scrolls Online. The one Tamriel approach basically means you can go anywhere, anytime, any level, and still be able to cope. So there are ins and outs to it, but that's very, very cool to see anyway. So, Lawrence and Hen asked, the Wendigo Colossus is really, really cool. Any plans to make it appear a bit more often and maybe even buff it a bit? Which we'll see is probably not going to happen in a tearing rush in a moment, and you'll see why. But, indeed, not to spoil anything, we have a brand new event featuring this awesome beast coming this summer. So, Wendigo Colossus event coming this summer. Very, very cool. It'll be another seasonal event, which should be fun to look forward to. Don't forget, Fast Snack later this month should be fun as well. Definitely looking forward to that one as I missed the first one. So, Moderon7 asks, could we get a matchmaking system and some sort of group finder for activities like dungeons, raids, events, as and when those things make a reappearance? I actually missed this one last week, disappeared into the ether of all the questions asked and answered, but the answer is yes, which is really cool. This summer we're putting a new team system in place, similar to Public looking for group systems, where team leaders will appear on the paper map and teams will be further incentivized with group buffs to play events, dungeons, and explore together. The Wasteland is more fun with friends. So it won't stop you doing what you're doing anyway solo, but if you do want to play in groups, you'll get buffs and things like that, which will be cool. Presumably only while you're in a group. And it'll be geared towards events and dungeons, things like that. So you can team up more easily, find other people to group up with if you want to. Don't have to, of course. But if you do, there's more cool features for those people who do enjoy playing in groups, which is very, very cool. So, thank you very much for hanging out with us last Thursday. There are many more answers to discover in the full AMA on the Fallout76 subreddit. Link in the blog post, which will be linked in the description of the video if you want to check it out yourself. You can head over and see the ins and outs. It takes a bit of wading through because, lots of people asking questions of two people, so it is what it is. But we're looking forward to sharing our 2020 roadmap with you in the next couple of weeks. Wonderful, there's a confirmation on the question earlier. So be sure to keep an eye on Fallout.com for these details, and keep an eye out for these videos, because it'll doubtless be in one of these as soon as they release it as well. It'll likely come out on a Thursday, these things usually do. Maybe a Tuesday, so you might even get an extra video. Cross your fingers. So, private test server. We know one of the major reasons for the smooth launch of Wastelanders, or relatively smooth, we can't really complain about the few issues it has had. On the whole, it's been good. So one of the major reasons behind that is for about 3 months prior to its launch, they had a private test server running with an invite-only basis and a non-disclosure agreement, which they will be doing again in full next month. That's going to be starting on Friday the 1st of May, so that's this Friday. Again, you'll be able to sign up again over on Fallout76.com if you would like to, and you'll be able to participate. They'll be doing it invite-based, so they'll roll out over time. But it's to pre-test the patch coming out later in May, which is very, very cool. First big post-Wastelanders patch should bring a whole load of bug fixes and tweaks and adjustments. Looking forward to hearing more details about what will be in there beyond what we've already covered. But the only thing we know so far, apart from obviously it'll have bug fixes, is that you'll be able to put outfits on your companions. But looking forward to seeing more. So, as we've mentioned in previous weeks, we would like to begin utilising the Fallout76 private test server for more playtesting ahead of all of our patches going forward. So that's ambitious but cool to see. We're currently looking to reopen the PTS on the 1st of May, that's this Friday, for our upcoming May patch, which includes a new feature that will let you change your allies' clothes, as well as a new treasure hunter event. So, I predicted ahead of the launch of Wastelanders, because there were only 2 new events on launch day, that there would be more following. Looks like I was right on that one. That's nice. So yeah, new event coming, middle of May probably. They usually do these things the second week, but if they're only opening up the PTS on the 1st of May, I'd imagine it'll be close to the end of the month, but we shall see. Since this patch is just a few weeks away, only players who were previously invited to participate in the PTS will be able to access this round of playtesting. However, we are planning to revisit PTS opt-ins and invite new waves for our June patch and beyond. So, as it's short notice, the existing people will be doing this one, but sign up anyway if you're interested in testing future patches even, because the opportunities will be rolling out over the next few months, which is cool. Of course, NDA will be in place, so you won't be able to talk about it, but it's still an opportunity to help smooth the passage of the patches, which is always good, because they have had a few issues with that in the past. Unsurprisingly, fix 5 things, break 3 more. There we go. We are looking forward to getting our next patch into your hands. Can't wait to read your feedback and bug reports. So, the last thing in this blog post is just a fun little thing that they do every so often. Wastelanders stats, in this case. Some interesting stats here. Sometimes they're not that intriguing, not that surprising, but there's some cool ones here about what players have been up to in the last couple of weeks since Wastelanders launched. So, Wastelanders update went live earlier this month, and many of you have been quickly tackling the new quest lines and meeting all the new people that have arrived in Appalachia. We've been coming through our data over the last couple of weeks and have rounded up a few stats we thought you might find interesting. Here's a look at some of the activities you've been up to since Wastelanders launched. So, Vault-Tec statistics. Who did you side with? This is much closer than I thought it would be. 46% sided with the Raiders and 54% with the Settlers. I knew the Settlers would have more, but that's not as big a gap as I was expecting. I was thinking it was going to be more like 70-30, something like that. But that's cool to see. Plenty of people doing both, I should imagine. But yeah, very, very cool. So, the most nuked settlement, also a little surprised, Crater. I would have thought it would have been Foundation, as I'd imagine the people who are rushing to nuke settlements would be the type to side with the Raiders. So, apparently not. Interesting to see. Very, very cool. Doesn't make a massive difference. They just pop up in hazmat suits instead. But there we go. So, dwellers who kept all the treasure. 58%. I'm actually surprised at this, so, especially given that more went with the Settlers. To side with the Settlers and then have more people be greedy. That is a little surprising, but cool. So, the most common ally in camps at the moment. Commander, name I can't pronounce. Yep, not even going to try that either. My French is horrific as well. But, yes. Our astronaut crashing back to Earth. She is the most commonly kept ally. Not surprising, as this one pops up as a quest all of its own and via your Pip-Boy, whereas any of the others you have to go and find on your own. So that's not a big surprise, but interesting to see. This is quite interesting. Over 7.5 million floaters killed so far. That's cool. People have been taking those guys out. Wendigo Colossi toppled. Only 7,122 though. That did surprise me a little bit. The numbers are quite small there, but they only spawn in nuke zones, so that's probably why. But so very, very rare creature, but yeah, I would have expected it to be a little higher by now. I don't know. Interesting. Also very interesting. Vault Dwellers slain by the Colossus. 23,961, so 24,000. Compared to 7,000 taken out. So clearly this is quite the challenging encounter. Apparently a lot more people are failing it than succeeding, which is funny to see, but very, very cool. And Pepperoni Roll Scarfed, 193,639. People are enjoying those pepperoni rolls. In fact, they do sound good, especially in the Wasteland. So, there we go. Little overview of the AMA again, which is always cool to see. There's a few more details that we didn't get last time, the one question I missed, and a little bit more of an overview for those who didn't want to wade through it themselves last week, so very, very cool as well. PTS opening on Friday is cool for those who've already signed up for that. If you haven't, good to see that they're going to be opening up to further sign-ups as well for subsequent patches, but being short notice, yeah, it makes sense. So keeping with the people who've already got in is the simplest option on short notice. Yeah, very, very cool. Looking forward to seeing what the new patch contains in probably about 2.5 weeks. Be very, very cool. I would imagine, yeah, about 2.5 weeks. So, Do hope you folks found that useful and informative. If you did, please do hit those buttons for me, so it's very, very much appreciated. Social media links down in the description as well if you want to catch up with me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And if you're really enjoying the content, please do consider becoming a channel member as well via that blue join button. The support is humongously appreciated and a very, very great help. So thank you very much to those of you who've done that already. And if you haven't already, keep an eye out for the live streamers as well. A little notification bell will let you know when I go live. It's a good time to be had, playing Fallout 76 and a little bit of Mass Effect on the side as well, which is very, very cool. Looking forward to jumping back into that this evening. So, hope you can join. For now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.